the show where we talk about all things creepy and crawly. I'm your host Joshua Hallstead, and today I'm going to be ranking the Evil Dead franchise. That's right, even the TV series. Before we start, I want to say this was incredibly difficult for me to do because I am such a massive fan of the Evil Dead franchise. I love every single entry in this franchise. I love the comics, I love the video games, I love all the movies, I love the TV series, and I love them all almost equally. So this was hard for me to do, but I did end up doing it. I should also point out that I'll be ranking the unrated cuts of Army of Darkness and the reboot separately than their theatrical cuts. That being said, let's just jump in. First up at number 7 is Army of Darkness, the theatrical cut. As much as I love Sam Raimi's third installment in the original trilogy, and really everything Sam Raimi makes, there are a few big issues with this film. One, it gets rid of a lot of the horror of the first two Evil Dead films, and it trades in for some really great comedy, which is fine, except for that, unfortunately, a lot of the madcap, crazy, zany comedic scenes are cut short by studio interference. Worst of all is the studio's refusal to use Sam Raimi's original ending, claiming that it was too depressing to end a horror movie. It's still a great film, but it doesn't quite live up to the awesomeness of the rest of the franchise. At number 6 is Ash vs. the Evil Dead. Ash vs. Evil Dead is the TV series on Starz that's a continuation of Army of Darkness and really the entire original trilogy. And I love this series, I really do. But hear me out. The TV series combines the gory, over-the-top, fun horror aspects of the first two with the madcap comedy of the third one. However, unfortunately, though it does use primarily practical effects, when they use CGI, it's extremely noticeable and it leans a bit too comedic for me. And number 5 is Evil Dead 2013. A lot of people, myself included, were skeptical when they announced that they were going to be doing a reboot of Sam Raimi's original The Evil Dead. However, when it came out and we got to see what Fede Alvarez had done with the mythos and the world of Evil Dead, it blew a lot of people away, myself included, because Fede Alvarez returned it to its original glory. It's set in a cabin in the woods. It is almost entirely practical effects. It follows 5 friends as demons possess them because they read from the Necronomicon like the original Evil Dead. And it's a lot more serious than the other Evil Dead films have been. It's so much fun to watch, and Jane Levy is absolutely awesome. The only real downside I can think of is that unfortunately they were forced to cut a lot of the gory, cringy scenes short because of the MPAA. My pick for number 4 is Army of Darkness, the director's cut, also known as the bootleg edition. This is the Army of Darkness that should have been released to theaters. Now, a lot of what they extended is a lot of comedic scenes that were cut short per studio request in order to make the film shorter and more marketable to audiences. So a lot of the Three Stooges kind of madcap humor stuff is added back in this one that was removed from the theatrical cut. On top of that, there is also some extended gory scenes, although not a lot. And I think most importantly of all of it, just a lot of little random sight gags and one-liners that were removed for time reasons from the original, but if you're a fan of these movies, you want to see all of that. That's all put back in. It feels like much more like a cohesive film, and I think it feels a lot more like a Sam Raimi film. They should, however, have let them keep the original intended name for this, The Medieval Dead, because it's way freaking cooler. Number 3 is Evil Dead 2013, the unrated cut. This is miles above the theatrical cut of this film. This is the version that was originally supposed to be released, but did not get released because the pansies at the MPAA slapped an NC-17 on it, citing too much gore. Which, to be fair, there's a freaking metric butt ton of gore in this. But still, oh my gosh, this cut is so much fun. They've extended every single one of the gory, cringy, hard-to-watch scenes from the original. All of it's on camera. It's so incredibly difficult to watch, and that makes it even more fun. They've extended character scenes and stuff like that as well, but what really makes this important is that this is the version that producers Sam Raimi and Bruce Campbell and director Fede Alvarez wanted us to see, with all the extended gore that makes it feel even truer to the original form. And if you're gonna get together with a bunch of friends and watch The Evil Dead, this is the one you should watch. This is fun to watch with your friends. It's fun to watch people's responses to this one. And it extends out a lot of the scenes to get bigger responses than you get watching the theatrical cut. And now at number 2, Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn. It's really, really, really hard for me sometimes to decide which one I like more. But Evil Dead 2 is a fantastic film. It's funny, it's well made, it has so many iconic scenes, and the violence is really good. The gore is really good in it. The action, the performances are great, and it stands out. I mean, both this and the first one are super, super iconic. I love Dead by Dawn. And it was really hard for me to not put this as my number one. This is in my top 25 favorite films of all time, hands down. Finally, my number one is The Evil Dead. How could I not give this to the OG, the film that started it all, especially because it has the best gore in the entire franchise. It has Bruce Campbell at his best. It's creepy as hell, it's hilarious, it has awesome gore. It's set in a cabin in the woods with a bunch of friends hanging out. It has some of the best and most memorable lines in the Evil Dead series. It has some of the most iconic scenes in the Evil Dead series. This film has been ripped off by so many films because nobody can capture what this film captured. But also, on a personal note, this is the Evil Dead film that I know the most stories from behind the scenes about. This is the first one that really fascinated me and dragged me into the world of Evil Dead, and so because of that, I know all these stories of how they got all the shots. I know that in order to get the shot of the Force breaking through the glass, they just threw Sam Raimi through a window. I know that when they did the tree scene, Sam Raimi had a bunch of people going there and having to move the branches one by one for several scenes of that. They had all these different techniques they tried, and they finally settled on just having somebody go move fake branches frame by frame in order to film that scene. I know all these background stories to it. I've seen the short that inspired this. And so this is the film that, for me and for a lot of Evil Dead fans, feels the most true to form, that feels the most like an Evil Dead film. It's also a very Raimi-esque film. It's very dark, it's very deranged, it's very creepy, but it's also just really weird and comedic and strange. It's the most iconic in the franchise, and it's the most important one in the franchise for good reason. Thank you for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and have a great day.